We are right on the precipice of the NFL season starting. Today is the day that the NFL teams had to cut down to the 53-man roster. After a crazy offseason of movement, the one thing that did not happen in the preseason, unlike last year, was a lot of injuries or any surprise cuts. So myself and Erik Beimfohr today, we are going to talk about some of those stories and maybe some of the more heroic stories that you haven't heard of, such as myself re-breaking a rib playing pickup football with 14-year-olds. So, don't want to call myself a hero, but here we are. I am a hero. And you're muted. So, very unheroic
Can you
of
hear
you.
me? I'm having some technical difficulties over here. I might have to drop off and come back in. What a nobody got cut in the NFL, but I'm cutting myself from the stream here for a second.
Somebody had to get cut today. So, apparently Erik's jumping off, so you guys are stuck with me. Today, we are going to talk a little bit about the fallout. This whole show was going to be on cut fallout, and shocker, there wasn't a lot of cut fallout today, right? So we've decided that myself and Erik have not drafted a BBM team together yet today. This whole offseason. We don't have one together. So we should probably do that. In the comments, I want to know how many BBM entries you guys have left. If you're maxing, what you're doing with that. As of the moment, I only have 8 bullets left. So I'm trying to figure out, I was trying to wait for cut down day to do 10 of them. I fired off 2 today. And I think there's some draft fatigue setting in with me, to be perfectly honest. Welcome back, Erik.
Okay, can you hear me? I can hear you now.
Yes, I can hear you.
I don't know what's going on. This is clearly we've been doing too many. We've been talking about best ball for far too long. I can't even fire up a stream anymore.
I was just talking about draft fatigue as you were coming back in, so it works out perfectly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You said you have 8 BBMs left. Is that what you said?
I have 8 left. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to rip one here. I have quite a few more. We'll do the cut thing a little bit, but it's interesting. I want to hear your thoughts a little bit on. You mentioned fatigue, but also, do you think you wish you saved a few more and maybe didn't do a little burnout or whatever? Because I know that I need to rip a lot of drafts over the next 8 days or whatever it is. But I actually am kind of happy about it. I think it was just a little bit of pure luck, really, in terms of the barbell thing. But nothing really, nothing has happened for weeks except a little bit of clarity on late round, running backs and stuff. And so I actually feel kind of good having, 40 drafts or whatever to do over the last little while.
I mean, it's not terrible. And I think you probably did a better job of balancing your drafting more so than me. Although you did max out the DK5, and I'm not gonna. I'm over 100 on that, but I've made the decision that I don't feel I need to. I don't think I have to max that tournament. And I need to, as we do this, like myself and you, when we're doing streams, we need to be drafting frequently enough that we're keeping up with what's going on, right? So we can't completely barbell, but I don't think I like the complete barbell approach to begin with. I like mixing it up throughout the year. I think I just need to be cognizant of the fact that, hey, maybe I need to take this weekend off from drafting next year.
Yeah.
Right. Go touch grass, do some stuff, and not open any apps. And the other thing for myself that I knew I was going to screw up this year, that I will not screw up next year, is I am going to be a lot better about contest selection.
It's funny you brought up DraftKings with that, because I know we all love Underdog, and definitely what Drafters has going on is really exciting, and that's fun to chase the overlay and have a different contest, a different scoring and format and everything. But DraftKings is like, dude, they don't give a shit. They're launching new contests constantly. They're gonna have, like, by the end of this, by next week, they're probably gonna have double-digit single entry contests. People are really interested in the single entry and 3-entry max. They just launched a new $100 3-entry max. They have a $300 single entry. They have like a $9 3. So like it's really become something that we need to consider in terms of contest selection this year, where we're getting these Pomeranians that fill in 6 hours on Underdog, and then we're getting single entry and like 3-entry max on DraftKings. We have drafters launching, a $2 tournament and a super flex tournament late, and like it's the first year for all of us having to deal with that, right? Like it's something we'll get into in a few months or whatever when we're kind of rehashing the season. And I think it's something, the game has changed. Last year it was just like, the barbell thing has become a meme basically because BBM was like the only thing, and the DraftKings Millie that was like it. You know what I mean? We didn't have. How many tournaments do you think between DraftKings, all these tournaments Underdog has launched, and drafters having what, 3 or 4, like 50? We've got like 50 best ball tournaments or something to do, and we're not even we don't even talk FFPC here. That's a few more. There's a lot of contests to think about, and so it is something new to consider.
Yeah, and for myself, just like looking back on the year, the reason I need to take the break is I know I'm not building as good teams right now, and I personally have caught that. Like, I'm not as focused on building my teams when I'm drafting as I have been the last 85 months, it feels like. So that's why I need to make sure I take the breaks going forward. And I think it's important that everyone figures that out for themselves. Not everyone's the same. Contest selection, though, DraftKings, I'm kind of making the decision that next year, unless there's some drastic change, I'm probably only firing their single entries.
Interesting. Why is that?
I don't have fun drafting on DraftKings to start, even though we can build better teams on there. The app itself is it sucks, if we're going to be completely honest on this show.
I draft mostly on desktop now because of like the overlay tools and stuff. It's still kind of a bad user experience, but it makes it at least a little bit better. And I know we talked about that too. Like, we built overlay tools, and the only way to do it is on desktop. You physically can't, right? We can't overlay something onto a mobile app. That technology doesn't really exist. And so doing it on desktop is the only way to kind of enhance the drafting experience. But that's not, even I, who literally, 100% of my job, almost 100% of my job is best ball, and I'm sitting at my computer all day long. Even I can't just sit and draft teams all day on my desktop. You have to do some from mobile. And so it's a big roadblock for sure. Like, the drafters mobile experience is good, and the Underdog mobile experience is good. Underdog is probably a little bit better, but drafters have stepped up their game. And it's so the hard part is what you said, that DraftKings has a lot of contests I want to play, but it is a miserable mobile experience. You're like, not just like that there isn't a draft board and all of that. It's that you don't get notifications sometimes, and like just stuff happens. I auto picked like half a draft the other day, just like 2 days ago on DraftKings, because I was just like making dinner. It's something I do. I talk about it all the time. I like draft teams while I'm cooking dinner and stuff.
Right.
And like, it's like I have the watch, I got the phone. You should never miss. Like, I should get multiple notifications every time I'm on the clock, and DraftKings, it just doesn't work very well,
Yeah, it's kind of brutal. And so I think like a lot of the money that I've invested in DK is going to get moved to drafters next year, in terms. And it's better drafting experience. Take away the board, like just the draft board, and go on, talk about Underdog and just being able to scroll and see the picks right at the top on the mobile app or even on the desktop version. That's massive. Like, I use that all the time, just trying to see where I'm trying to set up, and you can't do that on DraftKings. You can like click on that little other thing, but it feels dated. It's so weird that it feels dated, but it feels dated. So
they make more money in like a day than these other best ball companies, and they're not a best ball company, so I shouldn't even say it that way. But right, the Underdog and drafters are like peons, compared to, and Underdog's getting very big, obviously, but compared to DraftKings, it's very small, but it's just not their priority, right? I have to give a shout out to Davis Maddock. We talked, we did almost weekly shows last year, and he would say it all the time when we brought this subject up. He was just like, it's just user acquisition for them. And frankly, it's user acquisition for all. Best ball is a means to an end. Best ball is not, like, these companies don't want to be strictly best ball platforms, but that's good for us, because if it's a user acquisition tool, that means it's something that they don't care if they lose money on, right? We're seeing drafters, I don't want to say they don't care that they lose money on, but they're willing to push the limits a little bit more to acquire users, because the value of that user, if they are a sports book or a quasi sports book, even like Underdog is right now, the value of that user is huge. So that they can launch these Pomeranians, and drafters can do $2 contests. They can do these things, experiment with these things, and DraftKings can do all these tournaments. They don't care. If these tournaments, none of these tournaments fill on DraftKings, which I think they probably all will.
Yeah, it looks like they're gonna.
If none of these tournaments fill on DraftKings, there's not a person at the company that will even like bat an eye, because it's nothing to them,
Well,
and so
they'll jump on Twitter and start arguing with some of their higher buy-in.
Yeah, Kalish will post about Rainmakers NFT contests, and we'll move on about our day. But let's talk about the cuts a little bit before we, because I'm excited to do a draft. You mentioned we haven't done a BBM draft together, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
we talk like every day and stream multiple times a week, and we haven't done a BBM team, so I'm excited for that. But we need to. I do think we should talk a little bit about cut down day.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like on cut down day, I always expect like some bombshell situation. And I guess like if we're talking bombshell, it happened yesterday where Jimmy G's staying with the 49ers. But the other biggest one is Marlon Mack, the guy that doesn't have one leg, got cut by the Houston Texans, right? So we're looking at that, and everyone's like packing their Dameon Pierce bags, who I haven't been drafting for like weeks now. I actually, if we want to pull it up, I can pull up the tab on the Spike Week tool. I can share what I have going on with Dameon Pierce in terms of like, I'm at like 8%, 9% on him with an average ADP of 125. So I haven't been touching him too much. Like, I think I was still grabbing him while he was rising up, but then I finally pumped the brakes on him, and I'm like, I turned around one day and he was like up there with like the Chase Edmonds of the world or something like that. And I'm just like, what are we doing here? I was getting him in the 16th round at one point or something like that. So I just had to cut my loss on that. Like, I'm not going to draft this guy anymore. So I'll let the newbies grab him.
Yeah, it's just we talked about this when we did, which was a really good biased, obviously, but I think it was a really good show the last time we did, kind of assessing all the risers and fall. It was mostly risers, right? But all the guys who have gotten really popular and really moved up draft boards, and obviously Dameon Pierce was one of them. We addressed it there, but it's only going to get worse, I think, over the course of this last week. And the Marlon Mack thing is one of those situations where I understand why at face value it seems like that's something that makes you want to draft Dameon Pierce more. But in reality, whether it's Marlon Mack or Royce Freeman or some free agent they pick up at, after all these cuts, there was going to be somebody, and Rex Burkhead is still there as theoretically the passing down back. And then this is a guy on the Houston Texans. And he looks good, right? Like, you go watch, we bring up Dameon Pierce and the bots are showing up. We bring up, you watch Dameon Pierce, and I thought he looked good at Florida too. I thought, he was an interesting prospect. Some people were really high on him. And I do think he looks good from the how many carries has he gotten in preseason? 15 or something, like very, very small sample size. But at the end of the day, we're talking about a rookie running back who is fairly unlikely to play passing downs, probably going to cede at least some. He's not going to get every rush for this team. And even if he did, it's one of the, if not the worst offenses in the entire NFL, one of the worst teams in the NFL. So what really is the value in that, other than the comfort now that Marlon Mack is gone and he's going to be, he'll probably get the first carry for the Houston Texans. And so you feel good about that. And so maybe he should rise a little bit, but I think he's a great example of, we're probably, I say we, because it's a market. I don't mean we like anyone even listening to this, but we get a little carried away when the shiny new toy looks a little better than maybe he did 2 months ago. And I don't think anything is real. Like, realistically, what is different about Dameon Pierce right now than like even before training camp started, other than you feel a little more comfortable about what he'll do week 1? Nothing has really changed, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, he's on a terrible offense. Well, we think is going to be a terrible offense, and
they don't have paths. I'm not saying they'll be terrible. They don't have paths to being
great,
an upper echelon offense. This is Davis. Their best player is Brandon Cooks, who I like just fine. John Mechie is not probably going to play this year, who could have maybe helped. Nico Collins looks good. I see Tony and Felix in the chat, so I'm not going to talk negative about Nico Collins, but Brevin Jordan, Brandon Cooks, Nico Collins, Dameon Pierce with Davis Mills, like there's just no outs to them being awesome on offense.
Yeah, these are all guys that I want to sprinkle in here and there at cheap prices. And when Dameon Pierce is going ridiculously high, I'm just, I'll take Brevin Jordan as my second or third tight end instead, or I'll take Nico Collins because he's a little bit cheaper. But I wasn't taking Brandon Cooks. So why am I taking? I mean, it's just, again, I go to the simple thinking before I start going to advanced thinking, and simple thinking starts with, are they on an atrocious offense with a bad quarterback? And Davis Mills is probably mediocre at best from what we've seen. Like, he's not the worst, he's not going to throw 6 picks every game, but he's not going to march you to the Super Bowl or anything like that.
He's not elevating an NFL offense to the next level.
Right. So, I mean, it's just a little too high for me. I was fine with him at 16, 17. I actually liked him a lot. I think that's why my 9%'s holding, because I probably had him at a 14, 15% clip. So that's one of the two guys that we can talk about. Do you want to talk about the Jimmy G thing? Because it's honestly a nothing burger.
Yeah, we can talk about the Jimmy thing. Shout out to you, Al. This is I appreciate you. I do like Dameon Pierce. It was kind of like our George Pickens conversation, where literally nothing we're saying has anything to do with any negative sentiment towards Dameon Pierce. I think he's going to be a fun player, but that just because you're a fun player doesn't mean I want to draft you, given the circumstances, in fantasy football.
He went back to back drafts. I saw Pickens go on the 7th.
Yeah. So, I mean, these guys, we're to quote our good friend Michael Leone, we're jumping the shark on some of the exciting guys, right? They're the shiny new toy. And just think about this. This is something I was saying to somebody the other day who was interested in Dameon Pierce, like a new drafter, like a friend that hasn't gotten into best ball. He was basically asking, where should I draft Dameon Pierce? And I was trying to come up with a reason not to draft him. And I said, who do you think the best offense in the NFL is? He was like, probably the Bills. I said, okay, Devin Singletary goes in the 9th or 10th round. James Cook goes in a similar range, and Zach Moss goes at the end. Would you rather have a shot at the Bills starting running back or the Texans starting running back? And he's like, well, the Bills, of course. And so I was like, so don't draft him before Devin Singletary or James Cook.
Such a good way to look at it.
So take him, if Dameon Pierce is a 10th or 11th round pick, fine. That's fine. That's fine. But we've those days are over. You know what I mean? Those days are over. The FFPC guys are probably going to take him in the 3rd round or 4th round or something. So that's how kind of we've gotten ahead of ourselves. This is funny. To just quickly touch on the Jimmy and Lance thing. I understand as always, I think it's important to like understand all perspectives on all these situations. I understand why people are maybe a little bit concerned that Jimmy is still on the team, but I think if you really like actually take a step back and think about it, this was once Jimmy has not even been in meetings.
Right.
They basically just punted this dude off, right? They said, you are not a part of our plans. You're not even you're not practicing, you're not coming to meetings or whatever. He there's been rumors, I don't know if it's all true, right, that he like ghosts the team in the off season. There's rumors that he planned his surgery in a way so that they couldn't trade him. Like, it's all very, very bizarre, but they've made it known, and I understand why people don't trust it. It's fine. But they've made it known that Jimmy is not a part of the plan. And so what they did, he was about to make more than $26 million this year. Mm-hmm. And so instead of cutting him for nothing, they said, why don't we see if we can restructure his contract? Then it's a total win-win. It's like a win-win-win. It's the old Michael Scott win-win-win. Mm-hmm. He gets to still like be on this team and make more money than if they cut him. He gets to pick his, he gets to have a little bit of say in his next team. And the 49ers get to wait out the other teams while making him more appealing for a trade. Who the hell was trading for Jimmy Garoppolo when he was making $26 million and you let them know he was useless to you? You know what I mean? You tanked his value, and it was over for his trade market. And so now they can hold him and have a backup quarterback who they're clearly comfortable enough with starting. And if when he moves on, they get he signs somewhere else, they get a compensatory pick next year. It's just like it always made the most sense. And now this actually makes him more tradable than he was 2 days ago. But people can't move past the fact that he's on the team and we don't know or don't think that Lance is good yet. And so it has broken everybody's, like Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance have broken everybody's brain. Nobody can be kind of logical about all the different things that play into it. So like you said, it didn't change literally didn't change anything for me. So if anything, I'm just going to end up with more, God, that's what I need, more Trey Lance. But if anything, that's what's going to happen.
I mean, I like making fun of Trey Lance more than most people, as everyone knows. But the facts are the facts. Jimmy's not coming in for Lance based on play. Like, Lance has to be all-time bad in order for that to happen. Like,
they're still going to win. If Trey Lance is all-time bad, they play the Seahawks, the Bears, I forget who it is. 4 of their first 6 games are against a couple of the worst teams in the entire league. Lance could just turn around and hand the ball off and run. Mm-hmm. And they're probably going to start 4-2. And so people said last year, like, the Niners are good and their schedule is really easy. So if they get off to a hot start, Lance may not get in there over Jimmy. And they actually didn't get off to a hot start. Fun fact. Mm-hmm. And Jimmy got hurt, but they were good enough that Jimmy stayed in there. And now it's like, why aren't we talking about that? They're not going to lose a lot of games. And they play, I think, the Broncos and the Rams are the other 2 games they play in the first 6 weeks. It's like, I mean, they could also beat those teams because the Niners are really good. And so it's just silly. It's like nothing burger is what it is. But I understand we need something to talk about on cut day when Marlon Mack is the most exciting name.
The only way it becomes a thing is if Lance gets hurt for like 4 games, right? And Jimmy comes in and he actually looks really, really good, which he never has in his entire life. Like, he's terrible. People forget that he's not a good quarterback. That's the other thing. They forget he's not good. He's not a good quarterback. I've never seen a quarterback get as lucky as Jimmy Garoppolo does with like dropped interceptions and same team recovered fumbles. It's incredible stuff. People seem to forget about it, and he has to come in and be lights out in order for that to even be a discussion. right?
Yeah, I mean,
So
they've seen what they have in Jimmy. I think he's a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. But we're at the point where we talked about this in the Discord the other day, which if you are not a member of the Spike Week Discord, it's a really fun community for lots of sometimes crazy conversation, but lots of good, both best ball and just general football conversation. And you think about the fact that like Drew Brees is gone, Big Ben is gone, Eli Manning is gone, Phillip Rivers is gone. All these guys that played for 15 years or whatever as like a either elite or above average NFL quarterbacks are all gone. And we really didn't replace them. And what we replaced them with are kind of what are the current unknowns, Lance, Lawrence, Fields, those kind of guys. And so people equate the fact like Jimmy is an NFL starter, probably like, is he better than Geno Smith? Probably. But like the bar is really low, and the 49ers have proven that they're a Super Bowl caliber winning team, and he is not the guy that can help elevate them. Can he be the guy that just doesn't totally fuck it up over the regular season? Yes. Is he the guy that can fuck it up in the playoffs? Yes. He tried to do it against the Cowboys last year. He tries to do it in the games that they still win. He's just not there, and so they're gonna give Lance every shot. As you said, it's a Lance injury insurance type of thing. And I think that's smart. It can be one of those where we shouldn't be worried about it for fantasy, and it can be smart by the 49ers because if, like you said, if Lance gets hurt for a month or a month and a half and they don't want to start Brock Purdy or something like that.
Stop Brock Purdy.
Yeah, exactly. Iowa State probably didn't want to start Brock Purdy last year. And so they want to keep winning games because they're trying to win a Super Bowl. It makes sense. And so it's the thing where we just don't have shit to talk about right now. Nobody's gotten hurt right there. We haven't had any crazy trades. We haven't had anything. And the Jimmy Lance thing is so polarizing that it is, like I said, it's just broken people's brains, I think.
All right. Quick hypothetical, putting you on the spot. All right. Which team, if their quarterback goes down, would make the trade for Jimmy Garoppolo? That makes sense to you? I have one in mind. But I'll let you go first if you want. So that
you go.
Okay.
You go.
I think the most likely situation for a team, and there's multiples, but Russell Wilson goes down week 3 or 4.
Oh, interesting.
And they need a quarterback for the year. And they've built this team up so much that they panic overpay trade for Jimmy Garoppolo because they know what division they're in and they're trying to win now, essentially.
That is really interesting. I like that one. I'm literally looking at the list of team names here. I could see I could see him following Brady. Kyle Trask looks absolutely horrid for the Bucks and their entire. I keep making jokes. They're not really jokes actually. The Bucks are like the oldest team I've ever seen on offense, but they're still like trying to win. You know what I mean? Like, I mean that's you don't bring 45-year-old Tom Brady back and Kyle Rudolph and Julio Jones and Leonard Fournette and all these guys without being all in on winning. I could see something silly where Brady goes down and they do the Brady thing, not the NFC West, obviously. The Colts, Carlos mentioned the Colts in the chat. That's like reasonably interesting. They did keep 3 quarterbacks. They kept Sam Ehlinger as a 3rd quarterback, so that makes me feel a little bit like they kind of like those dudes. You generally don't, like the Lions didn't even keep a backup quarterback. I get that should be the news we're probably talking about. Not Marlon Mack and not Jimmy G. The Alpha Lions, our Lions, didn't even keep a backup quarterback because maybe they think they're going to win. They're in the market for Jimmy G, right? That's what the bullshit narrative we should be pushing. If they didn't keep a backup quarterback, what are the Lions doing?
I can't wait to see what the Lions do this year, to be honest with you. That team's going to be interesting, and I'm already circling their week 1 game. They got Philly week 1, they're in Detroit in the Dome, And I think everything we think about Philly is going to come out in that first game. And we're just going to see an absolute eruption from that offense, personally.
I tweeted today, if Jalen Hurts is competent, just be competent. Like, don't fuck it up. Don't be Jimmy, basically, is what I'm saying. Be better than Jimmy Garoppolo. And the Eagles might be the best team in the NFC. I know the Rams, I know the Packers, I know the Bucks, whatever. But, dude, the Eagles are good. Like, I saw a tweet that was like, the Eagles were like, we need a second corner, sign James Bradbury. We need a linebacker, drafted like, 2 dudes from Georgia, the best college defense of all time. We need an alpha wide receiver, AJ Brown. And then they just for anybody that doesn't know, they traded for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson today from the Saints, who is like
one of the best slot corners in the league.
Yeah, a superstar slot corner. And people keep saying this about Pickens. You want to know who really has that dog in him? Is Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. That is a bad. He is the dude that if you root for that team and he's on your team, you bought his jersey. And if you hate, like, if you're a Cowboys fan right now, you're gonna hate that dude because he's an asshole on the field, but he's awesome. He's a really good football player. The Eagles are gonna be really good.
I can't wait, and I feel like we've been saying it all offseason, not to pat our own backs, but as soon as that before the AJ Brown trade, I was in on the Eagles, and then once the AJ Brown trade, everyone else was like backing up, and we were like, they're telling you what they want to do. We've been saying this for months. I'm starting to hear other people come around on it, which is great that they are now 2 weeks before the season. But we've been saying for like, I don't pat our own backs for certain things, but like we were rocket shipping the Eagles right when that trade happened. We're like, they're telling you what they want to be. They saw how they lost that game against Tampa in the playoffs.
Yeah, they couldn't do anything because they didn't have anybody to throw the ball to. Is Hurts throwing up prayer balls to Dallas Goedert? Like Goddard had like 15 targets because they didn't have any wide receivers.
Yeah, so they knew they needed to change this offense. They didn't want to run that offense in the first place. You saw it the first 3 or 4 weeks of the year. Everything is telling you that this offense is going to be, top 5 potentially in the league. If not, it's definitely a top 10, but I think it's got potential to be top 5 of the entire league. So I'm just kind of wheels up on them. We talk about getting a Chief every draft. I try to get an Eagle basically every draft. Can I get AJ Brown? No. Well, then can I get Jalen Hurts? No. Can I get Devonta Smith? No. Can I get Dallas Goedert? No. Can I get Kenneth Gainwell? I make it a point, right? So like that's one of the other offenses I target. I target the big offenses and I include them in that.
I totally agree. Only other thing I was going to bring up is kind of pivoting from that a little bit. Were there any other cuts that were at least cuts or non-cuts that were at least like mildly interesting? This is very, very random, but I was going to bring up the Lions had me thinking about it. They did cut Justin Jackson, and not that really is super meaningful, but do you think he could go back to the Chargers and just absolutely ruin everything about Isaiah Spiller that people have been drafting, for months?
I think it's a potential thing that could happen. He's one of those guys that I just feel like he's never gotten the right shot, right? And I thought he was going to get it this year.
I think he's
good too. So if we go back and look at some of our like big board teams we were drafting in February, March, I was taking Justin Jackson on those teams because I'm like, he's going to sign somewhere. I'm not saying he's going to go somewhere and be like a bell cow back, but I thought he was going to go be part of like a 2-headed monster somewhere, get 35 to 40% of the snaps and absolutely produce. And I thought he could even be like the 60% guy if he had the right situation. And then he wasn't getting signed. And then he signed with the Lions. And I'm like, that doesn't feel like the right fit for him. And I don't know. I mean, like he's not like a guy that's got to go to, one of these win now offenses. He could go to Seattle if this injury with Kenneth Walker is going to be something long-term. You know how they love their running backs, and he could mess up a little bit of Rashad Penny. Hacker brings up OJ Howard, which
it's over, right? It's over for OJ Howard. Like, stop. Like, we got to stop. with the OJ. It's like one of those, like, let's stop with the OJ Howard. When the Bucks and the Bills tell you this dude sucks, and both tried. They gave him they both gave. It wasn't like, I don't know, Rodgers didn't, Aaron Rodgers notoriously sometimes doesn't give, didn't give Equanimeous St. Brown a shot, right? Because that's how Rodgers is. And ESB probably sucks. But OJ Howard has played a ton of snaps for the Bucks and never did shit. This is signed from a guy back in the days of draft.com, the play draft or whatever it was, that was drafting the ever-loving shit out of 5th round OJ Howard like a total idiot. Was me. He has shown us he's not good. The Bills were craving for another guy. They kept Tommy Sweeney and some other scrub tight end over this dude, and they owed him. They're taking
$3
like
million or something.
$3 million. They're eating like $3 million to cut him. That's how bad he is. So, I think it's just
he might catch on somewhere because of an injury, but like he's tough. I guess the only other one, like if we want to get real homer on this, is watching the Patriots cut all of their running backs, and it just shows you that it's Ramondre and Damian Harris.
Damian with Tymont hurt, it shows you they're confident in those two guys, right? Because they would have kept Taylor or Harris if they had concern, or Tymont's going to be fine. But I think it's kind of a combination of the two. Like Tymont is going to be a thing when he comes back. And I don't mean a thing like for fantasy or whatever, but like they're confident in him as whatever the fuck role they want him to play. And it's just the Damian and Ramondre show. What does that mean? I don't know, because the Patriots look so goddamn bad on offense. Like, I'm a little concerned with my Ramondre and Damian bags, but from a role perspective, I'm not. It's wheels up on those two, I think.
Exactly, and where we've been drafting them. So my Ramondre exposure is down a little bit just based on how much he's getting steamed up. I had him at 20%. Yeah, so this is my point. We have a comment saying that Ramondre went round 6 in the draft I'm in right now, and I'm just not touching him at that point. So my 20% exposure to Ramondre is down to like 12, 13%, but I'm still at 20% on Damian Harris, especially on 0 RB teams or hero RB teams, because it's just the perfect spot to grab that type of guy. They were talking so local radio today, not that I read it anywhere else.
Boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground. I don't listen to local radio much, but if I'm putting around doing like something that's 5-10 minutes away, they were talking about Kendrick Bourne possibly getting cut today, like that he was a potential cut, and I was like, that doesn't make sense. So,
they didn't cut any of the wide receivers, right?
I don't think so.
They cut Trey Nixon, but they didn't. Davante, Bourne, and Aguilar all made the team. Right.
Yeah. So I was like, Bourne, like it literally makes 0 sense to me. So, but apparently he was on the hot seat for that. So
I guess last thing to talk about is Rojo. I'm so fucking sick of talking about Rojo, but like, I'm not sure. It's I could see both ways for if you've been drafting Ronald Jones, and I did early, and I was one of those guys. I mean, I do think you could fairly clearly see an upside case for Rojo on the Chiefs, but I'm not sure this is good for Rojo. Them keeping 4 running backs, and they kept Burton, their fullback / whatever the hell he is. I don't think he's going to be active on game days. If Pacheco is the kick returner, Rojo's not going to be active on game days because CH is obviously going to be active, and Jerick McKinnon is almost assuredly kind of this passing down back that they showed in the preseason. So I don't think Rojo's even going to be active. So then he needs an injury to even be active on game days. That's not even getting on the field. And so I don't know, it's always a crapshoot if you get cut, because it doesn't mean he's going to end up somewhere better if he got cut. But at least if he got cut, maybe you had outs to some upside. But on the flip side, it's still the Chiefs. So I get it. Oh, look at that!
Look at that! Sorry, guys.
You rugged everybody.
We rugged everybody on this one. So we get the 7 pick though for rugging
And
people.
also, yes, I am drafting Jerick McKinnon to Eric with a C. I am drafting Jerick McKinnon.
All right. So we are in our Best Ball Mania draft, and we are drafting from the 7 slot. The good thing is we are the only badge bro in this draft, which is nice.
Have you been seeing that? Have you been seeing that a lot more lately?
Depends on when I draft.
Yeah.
But I have been seeing it a little bit more. So you do see a lot more of the casuals coming in, which is a good thing. I'm hoping. So like when I get the 7th pick, this is my literal least favorite spot to be drafting from, by the way. But what I hope for usually in this spot is what everyone hopes for. We hope that Austin Eckler gets picked. We hope that Derrick Henry gets picked because these people are like in on those guys. And we get Chase to follow us. If not, this is when I start falling apart. I'm like, I don't even know what I want to do from this spot anymore. So
I've been doing Davante. I did a little bit of CD, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't starting to get a little concerned about the Cowboys once, especially once we saw that Tyron Smith injury, and now Jerry. God damn it! And now
Chase going 4 is going to absolutely.
Cup is never going to make it.
Showers for us.
So but it would be Diggs or Davante for me. Or if you wanted to do something like different with a there goes Eckler with a Swift
false hope
with a I know motherfucker. Dig pretty much clearly Diggs or Davante for me. But like I said, if you wanted to do something kind of crazy with one of those 2nd round running backs, I'm okay. But
I mean, I'll let you pick. Do you want to do Barkley? Do you want to do Diggs? Do you want to do Davante? We got 10 seconds.
Let's do Davante.
All right, let's do it.
I see the exposure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't dislike Davante. I think I what was my exposure? Close to 8%, somewhere around there. Not somebody that I hate, but I'm actively trying to just keep him like right around level, I guess. One of the guys that I am trying to keep level. Do you mind throwing us on the bigger version to make this a little more readable for everybody? There it is. So that should make it a little bit better to read. I hate drafting from the 7 too, because you're like, when you're streaming, because you're trying to go back and forth constantly.
And you can't have any real conversations because you're like, you're after every 2 minutes, you're back on the clock.
Right. So we get Davante, we see Cook. This is the other great thing about these rooms is it's all running backs. We haven't even seen Diggs drafted yet. I assume he goes here in a second, but
one of these 2 guys is obviously getting Diggs when they get this. There we go.
The other thing so my biggest mistake in drafting this year, I think, is I will cede victory to you. I should have been drafting Kyle Pitts a little bit more frequently earlier. And I didn't even have anything against Pitts, but I just thought that his position wasn't going to move too much. And I thought, especially when casuals came drafting in August, that he might even fall a little bit. And it's been the opposite. So I'm overweight on him. I'm probably like 11% or something. We'll see in a second, 10, 11%. But I don't have the exposure that I wanted. I wanted to be around double the field, and it's just never going to happen now.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. You should, maybe listen on. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, it was one of those. I'm just going to take this super, super talented player. I think that's something for next year to think about. Like those profiles are just the guys that are most likely to rise, right? Like Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase last year. I know he ended up falling because of that, but I don't think that would happen this year. Right. Look at CeeDee Lamb. I like CeeDee Lamb, but he has forever gone at the 1-2 turn ish, give or take.
Yep.
Strictly because people are into that archetype of a player, and that's about it.
We are on.
What do you like here?
I mean, I think it's clear what I like here, which is I'm just trying to smash as much Javonte as I can. I think he is going to be in discussion for the 101 next year.
You don't gotta. I'm no comment. I'm I'm in on Javonte. So
all right, let's do it.
And you don't have much Javonte and Adams.
Right. It was only 3%. So what I should probably go through and say what my exposure percentage is, because I have a lot on here. So the first one is my exposure to this particular tournament. I have it just for BBM, I think, right now. Then I have with my quarterback is the second one. So that's going to be 0 until we draft a quarterback. And then the next 3 are with my first, second, and third pick. So those are what I put on my board, because it kind of helps. I think we're going to be talking about this a lot next year is combinations.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm heavily trying to make sure that I have combos of every player. And the funny thing is, you saw that I have 29% Javonte Williams. And sometimes I'll be looking at a player even this late and I'll have 0% with them. And I'm like, how do I have so much Javonte? And it's earlier, it was with a guy that I had like 10 or 11% of. And I had no combination of the two. And I'm just like, that is absolutely bananas that it works out that way sometimes. But, it could be because of the pockets that these guys stay in. And you just kind of miss out on those combinations. So I think it really helps us see how we're drafting. And it also lets you see that if you are overexposed to somebody, that you still might be missing out on something.
100%. Like if you think about it, just like super basic math. So you've done 100, let's just call it 140 teams, and you have 30%. Let's just, again, you have 30% Javonte. That's 42 Javonte teams.
Yeah.
There are pockets, like you said, where there are other guys that you were drafting that just are never going to line up with Javonte, or very, very rarely line up with Javonte. And so you're going to have guys you're trying to take a stand on, like Javonte, or like you're doing with Mahomes and MVS and such, that it just plays out to where even though you draft the ever-loving shit out of those guys, you just don't get them with some of those other players. And so that's definitely, I couldn't agree more. And that's a lot of the reason why we built some of the tools and stuff we did. If you go to like Draft IQ, like you had pulled up earlier, you'll see, I mean, the thing that I use the most is the player combinations. And because I'm constantly looking at, okay, I'm taking a big stand on this guy, or I'm not taking a big stand, but I just want to know what do my, right, damn it, we almost got Pitts to fall back. But like I'm not taking a big stand on a couple guys at the top of the queue here, Michael Pittman, Keenan Allen. I don't have a bunch. You have 2%, 3%. It's probably similar to me, but like what do those teams look like? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And another thing I do, actually, I'll just bring it up after we talk about this pick. Where do you want to go here? We're looking at Mike Williams, DJ Moore, Cortland Sutton.
I don't want to do Sutton with Javonte,
right.
But Mike Williams and DJ Moore are definitely at the top of kind of this next tier for me.
You want to do DJ Moore?
Yeah, let's do DJ Moore.
That helps me set up something I like to do late in drafts right now too.
I do also super quickly, like I'm not even just saying with the week 17 thing, but a couple of the comments is like, I mean, I don't think Davante Adams was necessarily carrying Aaron Rodgers, but I think Davante Adams is, if he's not the best wide receiver in the NFL, he's right there with Chase, Kupp, Jefferson. And so, I mean, you can never really go wrong. I understand like there's uncertainty around him going to Vegas and away from Aaron Rodgers. But at the end of the day, he's Davante Adams. You like can't really like. I don't see a path in which you have Davante Adams on your team and you're like, damn, that it was the Allen Robinson of last year. Like that's not in the cards. He's not going to do what Allen. Maybe he's more of DJ Moore of last year, who we just drafted. Maybe a little bit of a juiced up DJ Moore, but there's no paths to like this just monstrous bust. And so, and there wasn't for Diggs either, who we took Davante over, but, and so that's why I'm just kind of taking those two guys. Like Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon. I know some people like Dalvin or whatever, but there's very clear paths to those guys busting, even outside of the fact that they're just running backs. And so I'm just gonna take. I'm totally fine with with Davante Adams, Stephon Diggs.
I see that people are saying Vegas has Green Bay favored to win the division, but yeah, it's because that division is trash. Like,
also, I'm very much on like Green Bay win total unders, and if the market is totally confident that losing Davante Adams, they're going to be fine, and replacing him with Sammy Watkins, like I'm happy to bet against that. It could be Aaron Rodgers is just incredible, but their weapons are not good. Yeah. And so, or not, at least not proven. Maybe Romeo Doubs will be that guy, but I'm happy to bet against it only because if the market was like factoring in the potential risk, then maybe it'd be different. But the market is saying they're the best team in the NFC, and I'm going to bet against that.
We are coming back on the clock here.
I was interested in Juju there. What else is that wide receiver? Hollywood is fine. Deontay, A-Rod. I don't really like McLaurin or Cooks, but the other three are fine with me.
Do you have a preference?
I mean, I take a lot of Hollywood.
You want to do Hollywood? I only have Hollywood 3% with Davante Adams.
I like Hollywood. I like Hollywood because I like Deontay just fine too. But if I'm gonna kind of break a tie, I like having the flexibility for that stack of that elite quarterback. And Kyler falls a lot, and it's nice to be able to have something that gives you outs to feeling really, really comfortable taking like a sliding Kyler, or even not a sliding Kyler. Like if we took Kyler in our next pick, you would be fine. But when you don't take Hollywood, it's like you feel super, I don't know how you feel about this. You feel super uncomfortable. It's like Hopkins suspended and getting old. I mean, I like Rondale fine, but is a Kyler Rondale stack really winning you best Ball Mania? I don't know that it is. I mean, they can do well, but I'm not drafting Ertz. I'm certainly not drafting AJ Green. It's like Trey McBride. And so if you don't have Hollywood, the Kyler thing feels awkward to me.
The only way that I'm fine with it is if I have smashed wide receiver, and then Hopkins is my 5th or 6th guy off the board.
True.
That's when I'm comfortable doing the Kyler Hopkins stack. And honestly, it's when I'm comfortable taking Hopkins at all. I never want Hopkins to be like my 2nd or 3rd guy. And I'm usually already grabbing receivers by then. There's some few awkward builds that I've done with some hyperfragile stuff, but I have not been drafting hyperfragile lately, to be perfectly honest. That 3rd RB is a real tough to get someone that you like for that build, I think. So,
and this is the time of year. I mean, every time of the year is good for 0 RB. Early in the offseason is good because there's so much uncertainty. But now you have certainty, relative certainty on roles. And so you get to this sweet spot in the 8th through 13th round where all those guys and their roles, and you just have all these, you probably have an elite quarterback, an elite tight end, and a bunch of superstar wide receivers. And then you have both probably early season roles, right? You take Damian Harris or Devin Singletary or whatever at running back, and you're getting early season roles, and you're getting the Darrell Hendersons and Alexander Madisons and those guys in there too. And so it's just it's a great build for right now, I think.
Do we want to try to steal one more skill position here and 6th round?
I mean, or Deontay Bateman and Godwin are all extremely good with me.
It's a real crapshoot though, because Hurts did just go at the 505. So
okay. So Kyler's
next. Yeah, Kyler's next.
Damn it.
I mean, I'm good going Godwin and pushing it if you want.
Who are our wide receivers again?
Who do we have? Davante, DJ, and Hollywood.
Let's take one of the wide receivers and push it. I'm cool with any of the 3 though.
All right, let's go Godwin because I just need to lean into stances that I've taken at this point.
Also, look at that correlation. He correlates with Hollywood in week 16 and DJ Moore in week 17.
Exactly. And I think Godwin is like severely underpriced, to be perfectly
And there
honest.
goes Kyler. I was hoping that somebody wouldn't take, but that's okay. We can figure it out.
Yeah, we can kind of piece this together. Not really the way I like to get one of the quarterbacks by Kyler. Usually is the way I like to play it, but we can figure it out going forward here.
But I also think obviously it didn't work here, but seeing if you can push it a little bit, especially when you have the only guy that is stacked with that guy. I know that Kyler obviously has weapons that go after him. We talked about him, but I think Jesus Christ, 58th overall. Dameon Pierce just went before Breece Hall. Wow.
Here's a question I want to ask to the chat. How many people do you think in the chat know what the phrase "jumping the shark" actually comes from?
Yeah.
Do you think that there's? Do you think a lot?
I think there's a lot of crossover. Also, that episode was pretty famous.
I don't know, man. I feel like I know a lot of people that just didn't know what it was from. So I'm pretty interested to see if our audience knows what that's from. Yeah. I know Fox Crown personally, so I knew he would know that one.
Yeah, we got to. Oh, here's a good one. Robert says Dameon Pierce went 44th overall in the draft he's doing.
Yeah,
right now.
That is absolutely unbelievable.
This is.
I mean, to me, it's fine.
Anyway,
it's like whatever. It's like if that's what you guys want to do, it just leaves a better pick for me. Is the way I look.
Cool
at
with
it.
me. Yeah, I'm fine.
All right. I have a way that I would like to lean on this one. I'm not sure where your head's at, but something just blatantly jumps out at me here.
Oh, really? Is it? For me, I either take Elijah Moore or Brandon Ayuk here.
Well, it's Ayuk for the bring back.
I like it. I like that, and sets up. Is Lance gone? Nope. I'm guessing Lance is a potential fallback non-Kyler option for us, right?
We're gonna have to get real lucky for it to happen, unless you want to take him now.
No, take Ayuk. Do you think people are like fading him a little bit? Like some people were talking about him going later in some of these drafts. I haven't done a ton of BBMs in the last whatever day. But some people were saying they were seeing Lance fall back again into this 7th, 8th round after that Jimmy news.
I haven't. The two that I did today, I didn't see. I hope he drops.
Me too.
I have 8% of him right now, which we'll see in a second. And I'm perfectly comfortable with 8% on Lance. I have big positions on all the guys in front of him. I'm over the field on everybody except for Herbert in the top 6 or 7 quarterbacks. I also try to go double elite sometimes.
I think I'm pretty similar.
Edmonds in the 6s, bananas too to me.
Also jumping the shark. I like Chase Edmonds fine.
I do too. In the 10th round, it was great.
But yeah, I
enjoyed it a lot.
The old, you know what? Let's just call it like 90. You know, if we took Chase Edmonds even at 90, where our 8th round pick is, it's like that's fine.
Oh, here's what I want to ask you. Sorry, but AJ Dillon's been going in the 5th round a lot. What is the deal with that? You know, I feel like Jerry Seinfeld over here, but I'm like,
and there goes Lance. So my take on a lot of these guys is that the market is weeding out some of these other dudes. And it's just forcing everybody else up who like AJ Dillon doesn't deserve to rise, but there's other guys fall. So like if someone's going to fall, if Breece Hall is the backup to Michael Carter, when Breece falls, the other guys have to rise. And we're getting a lot of that, right? Like when Dameon Pierce rises by 7 rounds because people have lost their fucking minds, other people have to fall. And so it's kind of this weird stuff where guys are falling that nothing has happened. Devonta Smith is Stone Cold Smash for me here.
It's the pick, right? I mean, you can see that I don't like him too much.
You have the tool color coded to be like, dude, stop fucking taking this guy. You
I
draft
do.
him.
I do. And we don't care. We blow right through stop signs here.
Yeah, that was more of a you should make that one yellow because you have a lot higher. You have like 40 and 50% guys, and he was only less than 30.
Right. So let's look at our team. We have Javonte Williams, we have Davante Adams, DJ Moore, Hollywood, Godwin, Ayuk, and Devonta Smith. This is a fun team to start.
Now we just gotta figure this is where I feel obviously comfortable with the wide receivers. I mean, how can you not feel comfortable with those wide receivers? Right. And I feel extremely comfortable with an anchor, Javonte, at this point in the 7th round. Like, I don't care about any of these running backs anyway. Not enough to worry. And we'll get into like that range that we talked about in the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, where there's going to be backs that we like, but figuring out, and I'm also not that worried about tight end, but figuring out quarterback is definitely going to be something to keep in our back pocket. Is what are we going to do at quarterback?
Well,
I don't hate Derek Carr having, I don't take a lot of Derek Carr.
I don't either.
I probably only taken him a few times, but I don't despise him with Davante, especially we have Ayuk for a fun little week 17. And then I do have, I'm not gonna jump the shark, but I have a guy, a late round guy that I'm drafting a lot of right now.
I do too, and we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I think we're so strong at wide receiver, right? We probably are looking at some sort of 3 quarterback build, most likely, in my opinion.
The only thing and having the anchor running back helps with this, but it's hard because if we want to do, if we did possibly want to do 3 tight ends, 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends just does leave you thin at either running back or wide receiver. And we're obviously really not going to be thin at wide receiver given the start that we have, but it does leave you a little bit thin sometimes. But there's still mainly one guy here that would allow us to, in a pretty good tier at tight end. We'll see if that works, but there's options here regardless of how it goes.
Yeah, I think there's 2 guys here. Derek Carr goes at the 8th
88th. Jesus.
I mean, enjoy.
Yeah, no thank you.
I mean, for me,
we can even talk about it because I don't care which one of the guys we get. I like Ramondre here. I like Olave here. I really like Goddard here. I like Sky Moore here. I'm sure MVS is available. I'm cool with. I like Hawkinson here. I like all of these guys.
Do you see the 50% exposure to MVS?
Yeah, Jesus, can we take somebody else?
Do you want to do one of the tight ends? Do you want to do Goddard or Hawkinson?
I really like Goddard. I know we have Devonta Smith, but I think that's okay.
Because if we do Goddard or Hawkinson, I think that allows us to do 2 tight ends.
That's what I'm thinking. I think they are the last for me of the guys where I'm not saying you can't take 2 tight ends with whatever Freiermuth or something like that, but the guys who I feel totally rock solid about, and I still am. I was really bullish. You probably remember from early shows that we did. Like post Super Bowl shows, that I was really, really heavy on Goddard, and I still am. I don't have as much Goddard as I want. I'm actually going to try to rectify that over this last week. I really like Goddard.
I forget what it said. I think I was at 8 or 9%, which is like fine. But my exposure is probably low because I usually already have AJ Brown or Devonta Smith on my team.
That's my problem is I'm over on Hurts, but not like so substantially so that it sets me up for a lot of Eagles stacks. And then I do take a lot of AJ Brown. And like you said, I take a lot of Devonta Smith. And so I try not to stack up too many pass catchers from, and they both go after Jalen Hurts. So if you have the stack or not. And so I just am not getting as much. And then I'm kind of just punting tight end probably, or I already have Kyle Pitts at that point. And so it's just one of those where he's not an intentional guy that I'm just like at the field on. I actually am, like I said, I'm going to try to get overweight on him.
All right, so we're going to be coming up. We could have, I think you can do two tight ends with Dawson Knox as well, and be like, and feel okay about it. They're showing you that they like that guy, so that could have been another thing that we could have thought about. He honestly didn't even pop into my head. He just went right now, anyways, but that's fine. We're
What's
looking
quarterback?
at
Can you just look at quarterback really fast?
Yeah, so we're looking at Stafford, Rodgers, Fields, Tua, Lawrence.
No.
That's what we're looking at here for the quarterback position.
I think we've hit this tier break. I probably like running back here because I think we hit this wide receiver tier break. Can you click running back?
Yeah. We got Hunt. We got James Cook, Devin Singletary.
I actually prefer Singletary the most out of these guys, but I'm also cool with Hunt or Cook, whatever.
I'd like to get our Buffalo exposure, so I'll take Singletary. Yep. I like Hunt a lot too. He's another guy that I like. For this little area, I'm not taking James Cook. I know a lot of people are in on him, but I think I just decided that I wanted to put all my eggs in one basket on the Buffalo running back instead of trying to middle it. And I have no problem with the people that are middling it. I think you have to you have to pick your spots for that. But for me, I'm just going to take Devin Singletary, and until I'm proven wrong on it.
I don't take much James Cook either. I like if you're going to split it, doing it between Singletary and Moss.
Yeah, I have started taking some 18th round Moss,
where Cook can still just be that. What I think they drafted James Cook to do the J.D. McKissick thing, be kind of this passing down weapon. And I don't think if something were to happen to Devin Singletary that he would become the guy. I think Moss would kind of take the Singletary role and Cook would still remain. Maybe he gets a little more, but I think it's more of a Moss is Singletary insurance and Cook is just Cook. He's not.
Darrell Henderson and the nice. Sorry, just like there's some stuff going on in this draft that's just blowing my mind.
I really like Henderson. Like
I do
Henderson's
too.
One of my highest owned running backs. He's a guy who we're about to get back around to like 114 or 127 our next two picks, where we would just be I would just be smashing the draft button on Henderson on this team.
I thought that's where we were going to end up going soon, and I don't
know. Draft CPAT? Do you draft CPAT at all?
My 0% exposure.
Oh shit! I didn't even see that. I saw that.
I haven't been.
He is interesting to me here, and when we're breaking ties with the running back, he is, and we can't really take Melvin with Javonte, so it would be CPAT or actually Nyheim Hines for me here. I think that they showed their cards that Nyheim Hines is like not only has a role but is the direct handcuff to Jonathan Taylor. So I'm pretty cool with either of those guys.
All right. I'll do it for Eric. I will take Cordell Patterson. I think my only other Patterson exposure was on stream as well. Somebody talked me into it. I'm trying to remember who. I can't remember off the top of my head. Chat is really interested in my 50% exposure at MVS. Look, I was getting him a lot 10th, 11th round to start the year, and I just didn't back off of him. And I think he's going to be – I think he has a lot of paths to being the number one wide receiver in Kansas City. I know Juju's the favorite for it, but Juju is now – we saw him go in the 4th round. And MVS, you can still get in round 8, 9 usually. 8, probably 8 usually, sometimes 7. And I just think he's going to have explosion games. So big fan of – taking MVS, and that's my chief in every draft. And I don't know if anyone saw my Mahomes exposure.
See, look, not everybody's shitting on you for drafting 50% of a guy who can't catch.
He doesn't need to. He just needs to like get the ball stuck to his helmet once in a while and
run the little giants. The little giants, the kid with the stickum or whatever on his hands. I mean, I'm poking fun, but MVS is one of my highest exposure players too. So I obviously am in on this take.
I saw Jack Settleman post his exposures,
Didn't he have like 8% of everybody? He's one of those guys.
He was literally, I think his highest exposure was 12%, and I wanted to vomit. It's just
what's
like,
the
bro.
fucking point? Why are you even play another game? Do something else with your time.
Yeah. I was just so tilted by it. I'm like, this is the grossest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like,
and actually, I think I remember this now because Davis replied, and Davis said something along the line.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you didn't take Keenan Allen as your high exposure player. Why do you hate fun or something like that? And like that's so true. It's like, what is the fucking point of playing basketball if you're going to draft 8% of everybody and your highest exposure player is Keenan Allen?
Yeah, it's just
like just draft Jarvis Landry. Like, did you draft Jarvis Landry as your highest? Like, there's someone out there that Jarvis Landry, besides Gretsch, someone other than Ben Gretsch, Jarvis Landry is his highest exposure player in Best Ball Mania, and you're just like, why are you playing this? Like, get another hobby.
Exactly. It just I don't know, it tilted. I had that discussion 2 months ago. I can't even remember who I was arguing with. Somebody telling me that I was supposed to have 8% of everybody. So we're taking Hines here.
Fuck yes. Yeah, I love this.
That was kind of what I was setting up. I was hoping that if we took Patterson, Hines would be here on the bring back.
I'm surprised. I feel like he's a guy that I would expect to get steamed a little bit over this last week because they cut Phillip Lindsay and Tyson Williams, which is like, honestly, it doesn't mean anything, but like we're doing the 49ers brought Jimmy back and everybody's freaking out, and the Texans cut Marlon Mack, and Dameon Pierce is going in the fucking 4th round now. But Nyheim Hines, they've shown their hand, kind of like you said with the Eagles. The Eagles showed what they want to do. They want to throw more, right? Mm-hmm. And on top of just the moves they made, the Eagles came out in their first preseason game, and Jalen Hurts played 8 snaps, right? The starters played 8 snaps. They threw the ball 0 runs, literally 0 runs in their first preseason game with the starters. They showed us what they want to do. The Colts did the same thing. JT didn't play in the preseason. Hines did. Every first team snap was Hines. Early downs, every carry, everything. Hines was the JT replacement. And so they've shown us that he's like, I understand he's not necessarily AJ Dillon or Tony Pollard or whatever, but from a fantasy perspective, if he's going to catch a lot of balls and get a bunch of touches, if something happens to JT and he's going to have some role, right? Why is he an 11th round pick and why is Kareem Hunt an 8th round pick or whatever?
Well, I'd rather have 11th round Nyheim Hines, who isn't even one of my highest drafted players, than 5th round AJ Dillon, to be perfectly honest.
Right. I agree. I totally agree. And I like AJ Dillon just fine, but like
Dillon's a better player.
Is like 5th round is where Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson go. 11th round is where, Trevor Lawrence goes. Where there's a very big difference.
Yeah, it's gigantically different. I know where I would like to go here if it falls to us.
I'm interested who you like here. Man, the Isaiah McKenzie ADP is it's funny.
It's a booting up the charts is what it's doing.
I don't think I'm going to be getting any more Isaiah McKenzie. I'm really happy. One W. I don't get to take many W's over the course of the last 2 years during draft season when you go all in on Trey Lance and such. But what do you like here?
I'd like to take Trevor Lawrence here.
I'm in.
And I think we can backdoor him with somebody, but
there's 2 awesome. He has 2 awesome backdoor stack options.
I think he's got 3 total that we could potentially do, but 2 that I really like.
Yeah, so but I just don't draft Marvin Jones. So
I think there's a huge gap after Lawrence. So he's usually my QB2, to be honest.
Are you more excited on Lawrence after the preseason? It really does seem like we removed Urban Meyer and put Doug Peterson in and just, man, it's crazy how much better he looked. And I mean, they improved. We made a meme of Christian Kirk and Zay Jones and Evan Ingram and stuff, but it is a pretty big upgrade from Visca and Laquan Treadwell and James O'Shaughnessy. So I'm pretty excited for Trevor Lawrence. I think
I'm really excited for the passing game down there this year. Like, I'm taking a heavy stance on Christian Kirk. He's like my second highest owned player. I think you saw that I was at 17% on Trevor Lawrence. Again, that's because to me, after Lawrence, there's a massive gap at the quarterback position. I think most of the guys after that point are guys that could be benched at any point in time. So like I just get a little bit
or
scared.
just have no upside, right? Matt
or
Ryan's
have zero
the next
upside.
quarterback. Matt Ryan's the next quarterback, and like I think Matt Ryan is still like competent enough to be an NFL starter, but like he's not. I mean, Matt Ryan can't move, right? So he's and he's in a run for. There's no scenario in which Matt Ryan is winning you the league. You're just hoping when you draft Matt Ryan that he's like just giving you a couple of weeks that help you along the way. He's not winning you anything. Trevor Lawrence could be the guy. I'm not saying this is what it's going to be, but we're drafting where, I don't know, Joe Burrow goes next year or something like that, you know?
Yes. Yeah, I completely agree. So like, I think of when we're doing these builds where we're pushing quarterback, I try to at least grab Lawrence as my first one. And I still probably want 3, but you know, if
you can also do 2 with Trevor Lawrence, I think.
That was what I was going to say. If we absolutely get boxed out, I'm like, well, at least we got Trevor Lawrence. I feel at least decent about that. So I didn't want to push it past that point, personally. Oh, that was interesting. I like when I've had no issues until the other day with the draft rooms on Underdog this year. I don't know if you remember me complaining earlier this year about like it's showing me a player and I pressing draft and it draft a different player. I hadn't had that happen at all until the other day. It did happen to me. I tried to draft, I think it was Brandon Ayuk, and then I ended up drafting Hunter Renfrow, and I was like, that's 2 different players. That is not even the same thing.
Are you sure? Again, shout out to our good friend Davis Maddock, who queues up everybody that is correlated in a week 17 matchup when he drafts somebody. Are you sure you didn't just have that game, everybody in that game queued?
Oh no, it was a pure, I clicked on the name and I pressed the draft button and the picture changed.
Also, I know, Hacker, this is fun. We've reached the point in the offseason where Rondale and Wandale were combining Rondale Moore and Wandale Robinson, and theoretically I don't think anyone's seen them in the same room at the same time. You know, they're both 5'8", you know, little wide receivers. But yeah, Wandale, that's a pretty stark. Okay, I need to know what you like here, because I don't want to take Pacheco again. Really, I don't mind Jamal Williams. I don't mind Khalil Herbert.
It's one of the 2 for me. I don't mind Herbert at all. Obviously, I'm fine with Jamal Williams. Do you lean either way?
Let's do Jamal Williams. Actually, I know it's just a touch early on his ADP. He's a little bit down the list, but I've been trying to take just a smidge more and be kind of you know, like humble about the situation where this is an older guy I don't really like, but they brought Justin Jackson in and then they cut him.
Yeah.
And you know, so Craig Reynolds and Jamar Jefferson are still there, but this is a team that, like, we can say whatever we want. Jamal Williams is the 2. He's actually the 1B. It's not even just the 2. He's gonna get his work. And if something were to happen to DeAndre Swift, I think this is the team that proved their running back role is freaking valuable, dude. Craig Reynolds was putting up really legit fantasy scores last year when Swift was hurt and when Jamal Williams was hurt. And so I don't particularly like Jamal Williams. It's not a guy I'm trying to get like overweight on, but in these 0 and hero running back teams, I am trying to mix him in, because it's just a thing where, like, I like the Lions and he's going to have an early role and he has contingent value. And it's a valuable backfield. So I'm trying to like set aside my buy. It's kind of like Melvin Gordon. It's like a shitty version of Melvin Gordon where, like, I really like Javonte. I'm whatever on Melvin Gordon's, but I draft a lot of Melvin Gordon because I'm setting aside kind of my age bias and all of that, and just being like, look, he's going to have a role and this backfield's valuable. So if something were to happen, he's going to be a guy you want on your team, especially in, like I said, 0 and hero running back teams.
Speaking of heroes, L. Roger 7 has 9 wide receivers already, so that's fun.
Really? Robbie Anderson is his wide receiver 9?
Yeah.
He or she is wide receiver 9.
So right now we have Trevor Lawrence, Davante Williams, Devin Singletary, Cordero Patterson, Naeem Hines, Jamal Williams, Davante Adams, DJ Moore, Hollywood Brown, Chris Godwin, Brandon Ayuk, Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert. And I mean, I don't like Patterson too much, but I mean, for this team, it's making sense. And I actually like the way the team's shaking out at the moment. So we are going to be back on the clock. And the good thing about this team is we don't have anything that we're pressing for right now, in my opinion. We're not like, oh man, we really need another wide receiver or running back. Like we slammed wide receiver, but we got what we wanted at every other position along the way. We missed out on the elite quarterbacks, but it wasn't a major deal to us. So where are you leaning for our next pick as we are on deck here?
I definitely got oh damn it. Everett was going to be my guy. I've gotten into Everett quite a bit. I do like Zamir White.
Yeah,
a fair clip, but that would be kind of the end of running back for us, which I'm totally fine with.
Mm-hmm. The only reason why I wouldn't want to do it is because I think you can get late round running backs.
Right. What's tight end? Can you click tight end really fast?
Yeah, we're looking at Gesicki. We're looking at Tanyan. We got 3 seconds.
Click Zamir. Just if we're gonna default to there's nobody there I really like. Let's just take and I really do like Zamir White. I think it's almost like the theme of this episode is like the team has shown us something.
Mm-hmm.
And Zamir's a great example of the team has shown us something. They didn't exercise Josh Jacobs' fifth year option. They cut Kenyon Drake and they drafted Zamir White. And even in the very first preseason game, they put Josh Jacobs out there without any of the other offensive starters. And so I think Zamir White's ironically a guy who you mentioned like Javonte could be, a really high pick next year. I think Zamir White is it's a little bit of because Josh Jacobs will be gone, but that's also part of the point. If we think that Josh Jacobs will be gone and Zamir White could be a much higher pick next year, why couldn't he just take over the backfield this year, even though Josh Jacobs is there? And so I
don't even think he has Zamir to White. Though.
No, right, 100%.
He doesn't have to, and I think you're just going to see a two-headed.
Not at this cost.
He's going to be. I think it's just going to be a two-headed monster, and I've been taking Jacobs more now too, because he's been falling to the 90s or the hundreds. Me and Overzet did the Big Dog stream, and we got him at 115 or something like that.
Yeah, that's insanity.
So it was just like, I guess we'll take Josh Jacobs at 115. Thanks, and I think that was. I don't remember if that was after I don't think it was after the cut, but even so, Zay Jones goes in the 15th round.
God damn it.
That's fine. I have something I want to try. Eno's going in the 15th round. What an interesting
You want to talk
draft.
about jumping the shark. Look, I like Eno. I've drafted a lot of Eno, but it's also funny that Daryl goes right after him.
Yeah.
The market is confident as shit that Eno is the next man up. And like I said, I'm that guy that drafts the young dudes and all that kind of stuff. And there goes Marvin too. We might be taking, what's a click tight end? I don't know what the
Ingram's 178.
Yeah, we probably just got to do it. I think. I know he's not the top guy, but I would prefer not to get locked out of our
there he goes.
Where are you? Show yourself in the chat, you sons of bitches.
I want to talk to Baker Mayfield here.
Motherfucker. Yeah, that's fine. I'm triggered, so it doesn't matter. Just take somebody.
So I want to take Baker because I've seen him starting to jump up the board tremendously. I think the fact that it looks like he is definitely going to be the guy. I know you're upset about Evan Ingram. It sucks. But I think we take Baker here.
Zay, Marvin, and Ingram all went in 5
picks. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. This entire round started with Zay at 15.1. Then Marvin Jones goes at 15.4. Evan Ingram goes at 15.5.
Unbelievable. I was really getting it. This is still a fine team, but I was getting very excited.
The other reason I wanted to do Baker is because we have a bunch of people behind us that only had one quarterback. So we see Brew, we see Alex, and we see L. Roger with one.
This is. I need the fucking season to get here. If this is what you got this is when Pete does his next Best Ball Bro video, right? It's gonna be like, well, everybody sniped all my Jaguars wide receivers. Time to draft Jamal Agnew. You know, like we've gone too far. This is actually low key what happened to me last year. I was in on the Jaguars drafting all these losers with Trevor Lawrence. And then I was drafting Colin Johnson for this. Literally, Greg would have been in the chat last year if we were doing this. And he would have been like, oh yeah, just take Colin Johnson, bro. And I did it like a lot, like way too much. And then Colin Johnson got fucking cut from the team and ended up, it would be one thing to get cut and you end up like you luck box the Latavius Murray on the Ravens or whatever. Colin Johnson went to the Giants with Joe Judge and all those losers that QB sneak on, you know, first down from their own end zone. And so maybe I'm just scarred, but we're not drafting Jamal Agnew, please.
We do see the quarterback run go after us with
good call.
Daniel Jones, Ryan Tannehill, Mac Jones going. So I think taking Baker at 15-7 was probably the right play. It does hurt us at tight end, but at least we have Goddard. This Gesicki stuff's interesting, huh?
I was gonna say that. I have concerns too, but we've reached a point where, can you pull up tight end, where I think that they're all bad.
There you go.
There you go. God damn it.
For me, I mean, the Isaiah Likely stuff is starting to jump the shark as well. We should just have a show called Jump the Shark where we just start naming names. For me, it's ironically Brevin Jordan here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He's also bring back for Trevor Lawrence. I mean, we can win this tournament without a stacking partner for Trevor Lawrence. It's really not that big of a deal. There's nothing.
Did we not stack? I thought we might have had somebody. Yeah, I guess we don't have a stack.
Well, because all three, we didn't get Kirk, and all three guys went in the 6 picks before us. But I'm totally fine with Brevin Jordan. I like Brevin Jordan quite a bit, actually.
In the 16th round, I like Brevin Jordan. I mean, the stats were going out on him that he was like running 80% of his routes with Davis. I wanted to say Maddock, but you know,
Dwayne McFarland from PFF put that out, and it was actually really, really insightful. Where he was running, you know, again, we're extrapolating crazy small samples from the preseason, but with the ones, he was running a route on 85+% of dropbacks for Davis Mills, and that is essentially over a long sample correlates with all the top fantasy tight end production. You have to run routes. That's why even did Mark Andrews not crush before last year, because he didn't run enough routes. And so their whole team collapsed, and they just started throwing more. And Andrews ran 1 million routes. And so, who knows if that will continue? But without Mechie, what else are they going to do? Like, who else is going to run routes if it's not Brevin Jordan? So, yeah, I'm pretty in on him.
So I would say with our team, we are done at running back, right? With Javonte, with our 6, right? Yeah, our 6 is good. Davante Adams, DJ Moore, Hollywood, Godwin, Ayuk, Smith as our wideouts. We have Goddard and Brevin Jordan at tight end, and we have Lawrence and Baker at quarterback.
Can you pull up quarterback really fast?
Yeah. So we're looking at Davis Mills. We're looking at Mariota, which is kind of fun.
I don't think either of these guys will take him. I'm really drafting a bunch of Mariota. I think he makes a lot of sense on this team. I know we don't have Pitts or London, and I know you probably won't take Bryan Edwards, but
we have
Mariota. We got to take Mariota with CPAP.
Yeah.
Mariota is like, if Roger Lewis here takes a fourth quarterback, I think we should take Mariota.
You want to take him now, and then we'll figure out.
To take him now and figure out. It doesn't really matter. The dogs want Mariota. They woke up from their nap and it's playtime over here when it's Marcus Mariota season. But I think he is the guy who we have. No one is more like playoff focused and best ball, right? Upside and week 17 and all that bullshit than me. But again,
did Edwards get cut?
This is the no, Brian Edwards didn't get cut. I don't think so, unless it just got announced in the last little bit. He definitely didn't get cut by the deadline. But Mariota we're taking Davis Mills, and I know we took Baker Mayfield, but we're taking these zero upside quarterbacks, relatively speaking, earlier because they have quote unquote job stability, right? The only reason Marcus Mariota goes where he goes is because everyone is so confident the Falcons are going to be bad and he'll lose his job. And I think that is a coin flip or a little bit better than a coin flip. But all it takes is the Falcons to win a couple games, maybe a couple games we don't expect. They beat the Saints, right? The Saints are not like world beaters. That Michael Thomas could be out. They just traded Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. They lost one of their offensive linemen. Maybe they sneak out some wins that we don't expect. And after 10 weeks, they're 2 games out of the wild card or something ridiculous. And they're playing to win. And Marcus Mariota looks really good in the preseason, especially for fantasy. That dude's running like crazy. And he would be, if we knew he was starting the whole season, he would be, I don't know, by Tua, something like that, somewhere in that range. It's only because of the uncertainty, and I get it, but I just want to like kind of bet against the market this is 17th round. You don't get that upside at quarterback anymore in that range.
Yeah, no, I agree with all of that. I've been taking a little bit more Mariota. I'm only at 4%, but I'm like, I'm fine with it. I don't want to be at 0. I don't want to be overweight, but 4 seems about right for me with him. 4 or 5%, close to 8, but nothing crazy. I've also been taking, before Malik flashed, I was taking some Malik Willis. It was only 1 or 2%, a few teams here and there. He was kind of like a late third quarterback ad for me on certain teams. So we got a 3-6-6-2 build right now.
Definitely wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean,
DPJ's fine.
Yeah. He's going. How would you said his name?
Of course. Can you scroll a little bit?
There it is.
There it is. What in the absolute fuck is wrong with these people? Aguilar's interesting. Cedric Wilson's interesting. Danny Gray. Who's that guy in the purple? Is that Visca?
Visca, because he's the. He's the.
Oh God, that's actually kind of funny.
I mean, we could do Brian Edwards.
I know you hate him. I'm not going to force you into it. That would probably be my pick, but I'm not gonna. No,
I mean, it makes sense though. Is the thing.
Valus also makes sense. A lot of these guys make sense, so it doesn't have to be just him.
Let's just scroll back to the top. The Crowder didn't get cut. I thought he might get cut today.
He's also interesting. I don't know that he makes perfect sense for this team. I think Edwards makes more sense for this team. Yeah. I think it would have been. I'm cool with Edwards. I think it would have been probably like Edwards. Valus made sense. Not that I like Valus, but yeah, I mean, just take some form of a correlated. We've reached no man's land, right? So just whether you're stacking him with your quarterback or you're pairing him with some kind of correlation on your team, that's what I think makes sense.
This is probably my favorite 3 quarterbacks for a 3 quarterback build, to be perfectly honest. Lawrence, Baker, and Mariota, just because of what they provide to you. Because I think Lawrence and Mayfield are clearly stable in their job. I don't see Mayfield losing out his job in Carolina. There are some paths that it could happen, but I doubt it. Lawrence isn't losing his job clearly. And I think Marcus Mariota just gives you a really good ceiling, right? So I think it's like the perfect way to play late round QB. So we got Lawrence, Baker, Mariota. We got Javonte Williams, Singletary, Cordell Patterson, Naheem Hines, Jamal Williams, Zamir White. We have Davante Adams, DJ Moore, Hollywood Brown, Chris Godwin, Brandon Ayuk, Devonta Smith, Brian Edwards, Dallas Goedert, and Brevin Jordan. And we're actually like we're game stacked for week 17 everywhere. We have the Lawrence with no receiver, which kind of sucks. I did draft another big dog team.
At least Brevin Jordan on the other side, who we like. It wasn't like we just said, oh, it has to be week 17. You know, we didn't do Zach Ertz and Tyler Algier because it was week 17. We needed a second tight end, and he was the best tight end available to us, and it made sense.
We have Godwin for the bring back for Carolina. We have Hollywood for the bring back to Atlanta. And it was never even talked about, right? Like none of this was even talked about.
No.
And then we even have Zamir White with Brandon Ayuk. Oh, and Davante Adams. Yep. So it just kind of worked out that way. I mean, I never love leaving a draft without a chief, but it does happen from time to time. What is your thoughts on this team?
Well, I forced you to not take MVS for the 700th time this offseason. Otherwise, we might have had a chief. But honestly, it's funny you say these are like my three kind of like favorite-ish quarterbacks for 3 quarterback builds, because I'm not sure I even have this combination of guys, but it's not because I don't like them. Going back to your point about like we'll stumble into combinations of players that we either do or don't have, whether we're actively doing it or not. And like, I like Trevor Lawrence. I ranted about Marcus Mariota for like 5 minutes. I'm very in on that. I'm kind of just whatever on Baker, but I think everything about this team makes total sense. You can only do so much within the draft. We wanted to stack Trevor Lawrence. It just didn't happen. I mean,
yeah, that was wild.
Sometimes that's just how it goes. Generally, Marvin Jones, Zay Jones, and Evan Ingram are not the guys you get sniped. You get sniped on. So I really wasn't worried. But that's how it goes. I think generally speaking, everything else about the draft, like I love. And I love, anchor Javonte teams are some of my favorites for sure. But when you do it with Singletary, CPAT, Hines, Jamal Williams, and Zamir White, it's like such an awesome blend of early season value and contingent value. And then Goddard, like we talked about, is such a great kind of like last elite-ish tight end to do a 2 tight end build that gave us the flexibility to do the 3 quarterback thing and to tack on Brian Edwards and all of that. I think it's a really, really fun team. This is the kind of team I would want to have in my portfolio, even though, and it's a great example of not everything doesn't go perfect. The Jaguars thing, right? Like if we had the Jaguars thing, we would be like, oh my God, this team is the stone cold nuts. But it doesn't have to be perfect. You can still win a lot of money with a team that doesn't go perfect, and you can kind of play your draft room. And I think that's what we did.
Yeah, I completely agree. I do like the team a lot. It does. I mean, I do like elite QB, but like I said, if I'm taking 3 late round guys, these are a lot of the guys that I'm trying to target as my second QB when I don't do double elite QB. So mixing the 3 of them together makes so much sense to me. Other than that, I think that's a wrap. I have seven teams left to draft. We're almost there, Erik. We're almost there.
I can't believe we're almost there. I have more than 7. But I'm excited. I'm actually a little bit re-energized from cut day. I know we didn't talk like an absolute ton about cut day on here because there wasn't shit to talk about from anybody getting cut, but I'm like both, like you mentioned, a little bit, it's easy to get worn down doing hundreds or thousands of drafts, but also kind of a little bit reinvigorated because for this, the next 9 days,
the push is coming, right?
Yeah, this is it, right? This is our last hurrah for the big contest. We'll still be around for in season, and DraftKings does new tournaments every week, and Underdog will do some in season, etc. But this is kind of our last push, and this was our last information change.
Yes.
There's no more new information for the next 9 days, which allows us to kind of really hone in on what we want to do for the last week of draft. So it's kind of a little bit reinvigorating.
Maybe not to put you on the spot, but maybe we'll do one of your drafts offline and kind of post it on the YouTube channel like we did with the tools thing, which got some positive feedback. So people do still like seeing the drafts offline because you get to see us work through the spots that you normally wouldn't on a stream draft, right? So those are fun to do as well. Other than that, what do we got coming up this week?
We're going to do a DraftKings stream. I'm trying to get it scheduled with actually Matthew Wiley, who is a big in the DraftKings best ball streets, but most known for his PGA DFS, touting, if you will, but super, super sharp guy that I've gotten to know a little bit over the course of the last couple of years. We are going to be having a couple more draft streams, of course. And then I'm also bringing our good friend Pat Crane back on for one last hurrah before the season goes, going over our exposures and our draft IQ and player combinations and all that, and kind of saying, where did we take big stands? Where did we take big fades? Was it intentional? Was it not intentional? And what are we going to kind of try to, we talked a little bit about this today. What are we going to kind of try to rectify? What, maybe has changed, the Dameon Pierce thing. Maybe we wanted more Dameon Pierce, but we're just not going to take him for the last week. That's going to come on Friday. So a bunch of fun shows and definitely some more drafts.
You have my permission to talk about my MVS exposure on that show.
I'm going to screenshot just your MVS exposure and
my MVS, my Christian Kirk, and my Mahomes exposure.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
It's gonna be stuff of legends by the end of the year when they're the high advance rate guys.
Legends is one word you can use. I don't know that's what I would use. Christian Kirk. Whatever. Anyway, you got another show tonight. What's
Yeah, we have Hometown Ghost Stories every Tuesday at 9, and we recently announced that we just signed a contract with a network with Bloody Disgusting is the network, which is one of the bigger horror sites that is out there. So we are going to be on their podcast network. I think we're doing the migration this week. So it's kind of some exciting stuff. So you might see us popping up some more places around Halloween if you're into that type of stuff.
Pretty fun.
Yeah, it's
pretty exciting.
It's pretty exciting. We got a lot more going on with that show too, but can't announce any of that yet. So, but that's about it for me.
I will see everybody tomorrow. Rob will probably be back also on another show this week, but everybody enjoy your evenings. We'll see you guys.
Peace.